Alright boys, so today I'm gonna talk about why I think Xiao is abandoned. Okay, just before I start, I just would like you guys to know that technically he isn't abandoned, but in a sense, if you compare it with how MiHoYo treats characters these days, he's kinda abandoned in that regard. Okay, let me explain why. First off, Xiao is an Anemo selfish DPS, which means he is in the same category as Arataki Ito. But however, if you realize, Arataki Ito is a Xiao DPS, I mean all of the Xiao's characters can support him. You have Albedo, very flexible sub DPS. You have Zhongli, probably the best character, one of the best 5 stars in the game. Goro, which is a 4 star, which also buffs all Geo characters. He can increase defense, 15% Geo bonus. That is without saying you can use Geo MC. This constellation gives off crit rate, 10% crit rate. This goes to show that Arataki Ito is in a very safe place. However, unfortunately for Xiao, he is unfortunately on his own. Yeah, I'm not joking. First off, if you notice, we have quite the Anemo characters. It's around the same number as Xiao. Let's start off by checking out Sucrose. Okay, so Sucrose is a 4-star Anemo support. Uses 4 Viridescent, and if you know, 4 Viridescent decreases elemental resistance. However, you cannot swirl Anemo. It does not work. So Anemo characters technically cannot support their own Anemo DPS. They work against their own element. They work to buff the other elements. So that would put Xiao at a very big disadvantage, because Xiao relies on Anemo damage and Anemo damage only, which means you are basically stuck with only attack buff and Anemo decrease. However, since you cannot swirl Anemo, that would mean no Anemo decrease. You cannot decrease Anemo resistance by 40%. It is not possible. So that immediately puts out any Anemo support out of the window for Xiao. However, there is some ways, but it's very niche, and I'll show you. We have Jean, a 5-star, a very good 5-star actually, a standard 5-star. A nice healer, can be a hybrid sub DPS or a DPS or a physical DPS depending on how you want to make her. Increases movement and attack speed. Now this is beneficial for Xiao. However, it is C2 and I don't think anybody will have C2 anytime soon. Unless you're lucky, then good for you. And then you go again in C4. You can see that her bursts decrease all opponents' Anemo resistance by 40%. So this is equivalent to Viridescent Venerer 4 set. But the bad thing is it's locked behind C4 on a standard character. And that is pretty much impossible for the average player. even some high-level players. Even her C6 increases incoming damage is decreased, which is very good for Xiao as well, as he drains health. It would technically mean that Jean is the best support for Xiao, but at the same time, it is very, very expensive. There is no way of getting Jean on a guaranteed, because she is a standard character. So even if you have her at high constellation, you're probably like one of the few top percent. So that would leave Xiao with no option other than using Bennett. Which is obviously the default choice for any team. But if you have other DPSs like Raiden, Tartaglia, some of the most strongest meta team right now, the Rational team and the Firefighter team, both of them utilizes Bennett. And if you have them, there is not really a big reason to use Xiao anymore, because Xiao can activate constant vaporize, constant AoE. Raiden can constantly regenerate ER, 100% uptime for Bennett bursts. How insane does that sound? Well, for Xiao, you're struggling with ER because your dash has like a 10-second cooldown per dash. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of damage, but it is very time consuming. Or arguably, you could just bring Jean because she is also good with him for battery and whatnot. But that's kinda like just bringing other Anemo characters really. So if you use Xiao, you will need Zhongli because you need a shielder. And his weapon. If you have Jade Spear, good for you, it's probably the best weapon for him. And Homa as well. If you're free to play, you only have Blackcliff, which is a decent weapon. But against bosses, it's quite bad. But it's a nice stat stick. 55% crit damage, it's alright. You have Deathmatch, a paid weapon. It's good, it's decent. The Catch, insanely good weapon for almost all pole arm, but unfortunately he cannot use them because he does not skill off burst damage. And Banger's Bane, nope, no reason to use it. ER Favonius Lance, you could use this technically for a single solo Xiao, but you will be losing damage. Crescent Pike, no need, this is useless. Again, this is very good, but useless for Xiao. Useless for Xiao. Useless for Xiao. Usable if you have no other choice. Usable if you have no other choice. What I'm saying is he has no good weapons for 4 stars, honestly. Unfortunately, he has no dedicated set. Recently, Albedo got a dedicated set. A Husk of Opulent Dreams increases defense by 54%, defense by 54%, Geo by 24%. Insane amount of set. Albedo has 2500 defense. That is insane. Xiao's best set is either Gladiator, Viridescent 2-piece, or Shimenawa 2-piece. Either of those. But it's very general, nothing specific. So my conclusion is Xiao is still a great character, but if you have a choice between, say, Raiden, Tartaglia, or even some others, but I don't have them right now. If you have Jade Spear, go ahead. Please get him if you have Jade Spear. He's really good. But if you don't have Jade Spear or Homa or any of good weapons, and you're just starting out, it's hard to use them in Abyss nowadays. It's with corrosion, with new enemies that can be flinch, you will absolutely need Bennett. And that is not good because a lot of other teams that are better than his team needs Bennett. Xiao is good right now, but he is not epic. He is good. If you have him, you will probably be satisfied because he is cool. He looks very cool, very awesome. His attacks are cool. You can dash. He can plunge unlimited. But in terms of team comps, it's quite limited. You have really nothing to build with him. You just put any support and that's it. So yeah, that's it.
It's the Raiden Shogun. You will be inlaid upon the statue.